Hello, everyone, and welcome to our very first official 15 Cent Media Criterion Challenge for 2022. We have decided to take a journey into Letterboxd's second annual Criterion Challenge, and we are doing random rolls every week and also catching up. We are very behind on this, so we are doing our first and second week. For the first week, we have gone with 1940s and the 1920s. Joining me is Christian.
Hi, it's me, Christian.
Yes, the star and founder of 15 Cent Media, and I am Thomas. You will find our letterboxes at the bottom if you would like to follow us along.
Yes, please do.
I guess we can just go ahead and start. We can start with the 1940s. We rolled. I had picked The Red Shoes, and Christian, what did you pick?
I picked The Third Man, directed by Carol Reed.
Beautiful. What do you want to talk about first?
Let's see. Let's talk about The Third Man first.
Sure.
Because I know that was one that you got into, storyline-wise, because I remember you texting me about it in the... I was waiting to ride the stupid E.T. ride at Universal Studios, and then I just got a bunch of texts from you about the movie and how... what's his name?
How much of a womanizer he is.
Yeah, Holly Martin's, how he just goes, yeah, my friend died. Let me be sad about it for like 5 minutes and then automatically try and go after his girl.
This man really went, ooh, widow?
He goes, don't mind if I do. Dude, Orson
Rolling
Welles' corpse
snakes.
Orson Welles isn't even cold yet under the grave.
Yes.
It's really messed up. I think there's a dark side to this movie that nobody wants to address. If this was remade, they would have to cut out a lot of that, I think.
It would be very problematic.
Yes. But this was released in 1949, so I don't even think they knew what the word problematic was.
Right. Yeah. It was just you would just be labeled a Chad, which would be a good thing. Although I don't know if Chad was used back then.
No,
I wish. I wish it was.
I don't know. I think the version of Chad in the 40s was Orson.
Mm-hmm.
Now that dude was a stud.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, keyword was a stud. Then he put on like 200 pounds. He was eating good.
He really put on that much weight?
He was eating good after Citizen Kane.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
I read something where he was in a movie called The Chimes at Midnight, and he actually had to lose weight to play this character. And the character in the film was already about 250 pounds. And Orson Welles had to lose weight to accurately play a 250-pound man.
Oh, I'm looking at him right now. That is...
Yes.
That's a big man. It's a big, hefty man.
A big man that enjoyed life's simple pleasures. Maybe a little too much of life's simple pleasures.
Maybe too. That reminds me of me during COVID.
That's all of us during COVID.
Absolutely. But yeah, going back to The Third Man, I enjoyed it. Aside like all jokes aside from him just seeing a newly widowed woman and just like seeing a financial opportunity to just swoop in and write a book about her. I thought it was fun. It was kind of romantic towards the end. I loved that ending chase in the sewer. I was never like something that I find annoying in action movies is that you can get lost in all the different routes.
Yes.
In like a sewer. But I never felt lost in that. And I thought that was like helped by the camera work.
Yeah, they kept it very simple.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't go down too many different shafts or too many left turns, too many right turns. it looked like it all kind of took place very close together.
Yeah.
Especially when you have like that final shootout. It's very effective when you hear that gunshot go off, and you know just right around the corner one of them has been killed. So you're just waiting to see who it is.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the ending's very effective.
I would have been fine. Yeah, I would have been fine either way if one or the other got shot. But it's pretty obvious who was gonna get shot. So
yeah, I think it works better for Joseph Cotten's character to survive, because I think it's just an interesting parallel that he starts the movie believing that his friend is dead, and then he ends the movie by killing his friend. And I just think that's a cool like little cause and effect of the film.
It drips poetry, Christian.
That's right. It's the George
Straight
Lucas
from
would
the
salivate over this.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's really messed up if you think about it, because it's like it's a dark plot. Like, he's like selling.
It is very dark.
He's like he fakes his death to sell drugs to like kids and stuff, like faulty drugs, and like, damn, like, it's like, what would you do in that situation if you knew like one of your friends was like putting kids in the hospital?
Yeah, it's such a juxtaposition, because you're kind of like, you're like, oh my god, like what happened to him? Someone's dead. And then as soon as you find that out, at least for me, I was like, okay, I'm fine with this guy dying. Like, can we out him already?
Yeah, no, that's a good progression for the audience, is how we do start off kind of in this like mystery novel. Like, we want to know how he died. And the filmmakers are very smart to keep making you want to know the question of how he died, and not like why he died. Like, why did he fake his death, and what did he have to gain from that? And yeah, you turn on the character. Then you're like, yeah, this guy, he's a horrible person. It's a shame he's not dead.
Yeah.
So I think the movie had I think what really contributes to the darkness of the film is just the overall like location, like all the bombed out World War II buildings. Like, it makes you wonder too, how much of it was like a set, and then how much of it was like actual like bombed out like buildings from like the actual like war.
Yeah, that was another thing, was like just being touched in having the setting being like post World War II Vienna, when like 5 different governments are like having like military run around like that. I loved how it was just like dipped in history, like, but that wasn't the main focus. It was just the setting, and it wasn't too like forced, or like into the story, but it was just I don't know how else to describe it, but it was just dipped in that history.
Yeah, it's a very effective setting, especially it's a fish out of water story, because you have this American author going to Vienna, and so clearly that just sets up like this great like fish out of water story with like Western culture colliding with Eastern culture. One thing that I think is interesting too is just how damn stuffy the British like police officer, or is he a general? And he automatically is against. He's immediately against our protagonist, and he immediately doesn't trust him and tells him to keep his nose out of his business.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
yeah, like that. That was like
help?
the first sign. It was like, why?
Yeah.
Why is that your response?
Yeah, it makes you suspicious, and the film has like a lot of different like red herrings where it makes you just like curious as to what people's motives are. I'm gonna be honest with you, because this is a noir from the 40s. I kind of thought that the main female character in it, I kind of thought that she was the one that would have killed Harry Lime.
Oh yeah?
I would have thought that she's the one that killed him the whole time, and she was going to be playing like a Black Widow type role. and be luring in Joseph Cotten's character and killing him. That she
Not after he brought in those flowers.
Yeah, no, after he brought in the flowers, she was
After selling her on his book that he's writing.
yeah, oh, she was his after that.
She was his, yeah.
I mean, that was just the quintessential like way to get chicks back in the 40s, was just to tell them all about the book you're writing.
Yeah. Yeah.
All
right.
One more thing about the movie that I thought was really strange. Didn't really work for me that well. I don't know if you remember this too much, but the musical score for the film is kind of odd.
I don't remember it. That wasn't very memorable for me.
It's very jarring. It sounds, honestly, like the little ukulele music that plays in SpongeBob episodes.
Yes.
That's kind of exactly what it sounded like.
Oh, right. You texted me about this. Yeah.
I'll
need.
I was curious as to why once would have been funny, but they played the track over and over again, and I was like, I don't know. An orchestral score probably would have worked better for the film.
Yeah. They probably spent all their money on, if not it already being there naturally, just destroying sets to make it look like post-war Vienna.
Yeah, and I mean, you had the two stars of Citizen Kane in your movie. I mean, they were big stars back then, hard to get. So that was probably half their budget too.
Oh yeah,
which is really sad to see. Joseph Cotten. I mean, he was in Citizen Kane, and a couple Orson Welles films, and then after that, in the 70s, it's really kind of sad. He was just in a bunch of crappy Italian horror movies. You just feel bad for him. You're like, dude, you were in Citizen Kane. What are you doing in this movie creating, like, fish monsters? Like, I'll just be randomly watching a Italian horror movie, as I do, and I'm like, holy shit, it's the guy from Citizen Kane. And it's just jarring every time.
Mm-hmm. Citizen Kane, I couldn't care less.
Yeah.
I don't know. That movie's just like over my head, but yes, yeah, I agree.
I think there's a difference when you talk about Citizen Kane. I think there's a difference between best movie ever and most, like, influential movie ever.
Yes.
Like, it started a lot of... I mean, it can't be talked about enough for all the boundary-pushing, like, cinematic techniques it introduces, especially for the time, but best movie ever? I would have to disagree.
I'm still waiting for us to break the 180-degree rule and just get it and just trash it.
Oh, absolutely. I just hope our Professor Bowen doesn't ever listen to this.
He won't. He won't.
He's
too busy watching The Protégé.
The Protégé.
Did you see he watched The Protégé tonight?
What? Oh, Bowen, what are you doing?
I didn't know that guy directed Casino Royale. That's a good movie.
Wait, he went from Casino Royale to The Protégé?
I know.
Well, hold on. I'm looking at his filmography here. He went from Casino Royale to Green Lantern. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, God. That explains a lot. Man, I couldn't tell you this summer a more generic-looking action movie than The Protégé.
Oh, I know, right? That needs to be propped up by Michael Keaton and Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah. Well, everything's propped up by Michael Keaton these days. They threw him in the Morbius trailer, like, just to try and get people interested.
Yeah, it's probably just a recycled clip, like an outtake from probably from Homecoming.
Yeah, and he's going to be in the Flash movie too. And they asked him if he understood what he was doing in the Flash movie, and he said no, not really. Because the Flash movie. Flash goes like, it's like a DC story. He goes so fast that he actually ruptures like the timelines and stuff. This is DC's attempt to try and do the multiverse thing.
Even between franchises, is he gonna play Vulture in the DC franchise?
Yeah, that would be nice. He's gonna play Birdman too.
Yeah, Birdman. Yeah, exactly.
That's the best Michael Keaton character.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we wanna rate this and then move on to the Red Shoes.
Yeah. What would you give this out of 10?
I'm gonna give this a 3.5 out of 5.
Nice. I'm gonna do you just a little bit better. I'm gonna give it 4 out of 5.
Ooh.
When Orson Welles gets introduced, man, the movie just pops off for me. That guy just chews up all the scenery.
I never got that like at all. I was just maybe just because Citizen Kane, I just kind of slept through in my film studies class, but but yeah, I'm glad you liked that. I'm glad you got that out of the Third Man.
Oh yeah, no, I was hooting and hollering when he showed up.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, "Where's Orson?
Where is he? Where's my boy?"
So now we're moving on to a film that we really struggled to get through, surprisingly.
Yeah, we both fell asleep watching this movie. We both said that we were gonna record that same night after finishing it, and then we didn't do that. So
nope.
But the Red Shoes was made in 1948. I loved this movie. This was great, especially the ballet sequence. Like I want to watch. I told myself I'd do this. I talked to another friend of mine who absolutely loves this movie, but I want to watch some film essays about how they did this ballet sequence, because I don't know what it was. Maybe because I was a little bit under the influence of alcohol, but I got up out of my couch and I was just kind of, just going through the ballet motions, that she was doing.
Well, it's very hypnotizing.
It's very hypnotizing. But aside from that, the colors, my God, like her hair is so red. I loved that.
Yes, the colors really pop off. It honestly, it makes you wonder why movies don't look like this anymore.
I know, right? Like this and Ran, by Kurosawa. Those two movies, just like the color, it just sticks out so much, and not so much where it's distracting. It's like it enhances the film.
Yes, it doesn't. It's not like, hey, look at us. Look at what we can do with like our colors in our film. Like, notice us, please. It's like, no, it's natural. It enhances everything in the film. And
absolutely,
I mean, the movie revolves around color. I mean, the movie's titled The Red Shoes, for God's sake. It ought to have some color in it. And the red shoes are very important in the film. I think
I thought
you go first.
You keep going, because I was going to move away from the talk of color.
Oh, no. I think one thing that really worked for me in the movie is the slow burn of it.
It does get into a more of a slow burn about like 30-45 minutes into it.
Yeah. But I think it builds up to the anticipation more.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say kind of like the beginning of the movie really sets up how like important the ballet is to a lot of people. Like just seeing them file in, not even file in, they're like trampling each other to get like front seats, it's the extras, the way the extras acted, I thought really like added to the beginning of the movie, kind of like just setting you up to where it's like, okay, like this is a very important show. I thought that was a great way to start it off.
Yeah, it's very well directed. All the set pieces, they're very immaculate and large and grand and expansive and filled with lots of moving pieces and cast, and I think the director does a really good job keeping your focus on what matters most in the frame.
Couldn't agree more. Yeah. Yeah. But moving on later into the movie, when it does become a slow burn, I thought that, well, okay, I should preface. Should we just give out spoilers? I don't. This movie was made in 48. We're just gonna.
Yeah,
spoilers.
I think it'll be okay.
Yeah, it'll be okay. That the ending when she kind of loses her mind, I thought that this. I don't know. I thought that was too sudden. They should have built it up more for her, because I thought that we got more screen time with the guys rather than her, because she loses her shit like at the end. Like it is, she throws herself into a train.
Yes, it's a very quick turn.
Yeah, from just this like insanely or this really pressured love triangle that she's in, and I don't know. I just thought that was too sudden. They should have given her more screen time to
Absolutely,
show off how, because it reminded me of Game of Thrones when Emilia Clarke just kind of loses her crap like at the end. It's just kind of like a snap. Like she's just like, okay, no, actually, I want to burn the whole city down.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of what I got out of that.
Well, it's like you knew it was going to happen. You knew that the fate of her character was kind of inevitable, but it still happens a little too fast, I think.
For who, in the red shoes?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You knew because of the way the red shoes were hyped up and all the pressure on her and the intensity of the love triangle. You knew it would all come crashing down. But even so, I think it happens a little too. I think the filmmakers they rush it just a little too quickly.
I knew it was going to get messy at the end. I didn't think that she was just going to jump in front of a train or dive into a train.
Well, it escalates very quickly.
That, I actually started laughing at that point because I was like, whoa, like what?
Yeah, because you don't see that part coming at all.
She sprints out of the dressing room and then there's just a perfect like swan dive spot where she could just jump in front of a train.
Yeah, that's awfully convenient, isn't it?
It was very convenient.
It's like, hey, if you think you did a bad job on the show and you can't live to see the horrible reviews for it, hey, there's a train coming by at about 12 p.m. if you want to collide into it.
Uh-huh.
Right outside
really
your dressing room. I'll tell you what I really like too. I don't know if movies just forgot that opening credits exists and that you can use the opening credits to establish the tone and atmosphere of your movie. But I really like the opening credits of this movie.
Yeah, it made me feel so warm. Like I love Technicolor. Like I'm now like, you've seen way more movies from like this decade and the decades between. But like Technicolor just adds like that, and then there's a whole art to intro credits.
Yeah, I think
that
it's a
like
lost
this
art.
movie just really highlights the importance and just the amount of fun you can have with it, because like I just had a smile on my face right as the movie started.
I think it's an editor's best friend is a writer or director coming up to him and saying, hey, we want you to edit an opening sequence for the film. Here's some footage that we shot. See what you can do with it. I don't think as an editor there's anything better that you can hear, because then you really get to show off your skills when you get to craft a really good opening sequence. And you can make a career out of it. I forget the guy's name. Saul Bass, I think is his name. Yeah, Saul Bass. And he edited the Psycho opening credit sequence, the Vertigo opening credit sequence, several James Bond opening sequences, which are, of course, iconic. The guy was known for, hey, if you want to have a really strong, solid, artistic opening sequence, you hire this guy. Like, he wouldn't edit the film. He would literally just come in and do the opening credits, and that was it. And then he would dip.
Imagine making a living just off of doing that. Like people wanting you to come in and just do the opening credits.
I know, must be nice, right?
Must be nice.
Hey, we'll get there someday, man.
We will get there someday. Absolutely.
We gotta keep watching more movies with really good opening title sequences.
I know there's probably a letterbox list about that.
Oh, I'm sure.
You can give me some recommendations.
If there's not, I'll make one for you.
Please do it. Please do it. I don't really have anything else to add to this movie. Do you want to add anything else?
No, I just think it's a really good movie.
Yeah, really solid. I can see why a lot of my friends recommend this to me. So, plugging this in, I'm gonna give this a 4 out of 5.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. 4 out of 5. Great movie.
Yeah, absolutely. So now, with our first week out of the way, since we're so behind on this, we decided to do this about 3 weeks into the year, 4 weeks into the year. So we're doing week 1 and week 2. So going into week 2, our role was the 1920s. So I decided to go with The Passion of Joan of Arc. And Christian, tell us about your movie.
I picked. I'm unsure if I'm going to pronounce this correctly, but I picked Haxan or Haxan.
Haxan.
I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce it. I believe it's German. I believe it's German for witch. But that's what I picked.
Yeah, let's talk about yours first. I think that's going to be more interesting.
So I picked this one just because I thought a silent film about the history of witchcraft sounded interesting, and I think interesting is a good word to describe this movie. I genuinely don't really know how I feel about this movie. Like it's like an anthology film. Like there's different stories, and some of the stories drag a little bit. Some of them go on for a little bit too long, but all of them, honestly, they give me like this. I can't explain it. They give me like this really uneasy feeling, and I don't know why. It's like just watching like people that have been dead for like so many years. Like that movie's like 100 years old, and
yeah, it's actually it is legit 100 years old. It came out in 1922.
Yeah, like. There's something about watching movies that old that just kind of weird me out a little bit. And it's a weird movie.
It's very weird. It's not a movie that I would watch ever again. Just to throw that out there. I'm not watching this ever again. I would never have watched this on my own.
You're welcome.
But yeah, thank you, Christian.
I like
other movies you've made me watch.
I like forcing you to watch really bizarre movies.
Yeah, no, and I'm so glad about it because I would have never watched Suspiria. So,
oh, that's true. So I can show you for every 5 Haxans, there's one Suspiria out there.
Absolutely, you're the reason I love Giallo today.
Oh well, that's the best compliment I could ever get.
Mm-hmm.
You want to talk about the devil?
That's literally what I was going to talk about. The devil has like 4 different iterations, but my favorite is the one that sticks his tongue out and like assaults the camera in like a sexual way. That was just, I would think the devil would be scary, not like seductive.
Yeah, he definitely. There's also what I would like to think is a. Pardon my French here. I believe there's a masturbation allegory, a visual pun, where
I don't remember that.
There's several shots of the devil churning butter, and he's doing the motion that would look like you're having a good time down there, and
man's just churning butter. Why you got to make it sexual, Christian?
Shit, I mean he might just be churning butter. Damn, I don't know what's going on in this movie. He very well could be churning butter. But I think maybe in 1922 they couldn't exactly show the devil just whacking off, so they had to have him churning butter. I feel like this movie was probably pretty controversial when it came out.
I agree. There was probably yeah.
I think Germany is a pretty I think it's a pretty Christian heavy country. So I don't think they probably appreciated all the satanic imagery in the film. There's a lot of gruesome imagery
is this a
in
German
the movie.
film?
Isn't there like a 30-minute long like sequence of like just like medieval torture weapons?
Yes.
Yeah, it shows like all the different ways a witch can be tortured, and then it like shows the device being used. I'm like, what the hell is going on in this movie?
Yeah, it's like a lecture. It's like you get like a PowerPoint slide for the first like 5 minutes, and then the those first few minutes, and then you get kind of like little like theater plays. I think there's like 5 or 6 of them.
It's like a variety show.
Yeah.
It even starts with like a slideshow presentation.
Uh-huh.
My favorite part though is when the devil makes all the witches kiss his ass.
I don't remember that. I think I was checked out by that point.
Hey, you know what though? I could probably say just about anything regarding this movie, and it could honestly sound true.
I'll say this though. I couldn't believe that the movie called me a slut at the very end.
That was insane. Because we both finished watching this at like 3 a.m. So just to see the word slut show up in big words at the end of the movie was hilarious.
That woke me up. I wish I got that halfway through the movie. Then I would have really been engaged.
Well, it's so crazy because the last shot of the movie is like this really like somber shot of like these like women being burned at the stake, and they just fade to black and says slut. Like I know it means like the end in like German or Dutch or something, but man,
that's awesome.
Yeah, like when you watch that movie now, they need to give you like a trigger warning.
Yeah.
It says like, be warned, this movie will call you a slut.
We're taking insults and we're turning them into empowerment. It's like how our generation has taken back the word bitch, and we're making it a good use.
Yeah, and you know what? Honestly, I don't know if I've ever seen more text in a silent movie before. After 15 minutes, it honestly felt more like reading a textbook than watching a movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm there with you.
Yeah, I don't know how. I feel like this could have been interesting, if it were just tightened up. Like I think this would have worked better, honestly, as like just like a 40-minute long movie. I don't think this film needed to be 1 hour and 45 minutes long. At all. I definitely could shave a good 35 to 40 minutes off the runtime.
And it's not like you're like, oh, okay, we can shave off like 10 minutes for intro or for ending credits. It's like, no, like it is an hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah. And it drags
the entire time.
It drags a lot.
Just to be called a slut at the end.
Yes, that's what it's an hour and 45 minutes just to be called a slut.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, don't get me wrong. You know me. I love weird movies and weird experimental shit. But I think this only works as like a interesting like curio of the past. I don't really know if this works as a movie.
It doesn't work as a movie. I mean, like, this is 1922. Let's see how many movies I've seen from 1922.
I don't know. Remember that
Nosferatu.
That one guy on
love
Letterboxd,
Nosferatu.
he had like his top 100 movies of 1922. I was like, oh, brother.
Oh, yeah, Punk, P-U-N-Q.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which, you know, he's probably just thrown like half of those on while he was doing laundry.
And who can even pay attention during that? Like, especially for something made around that time where there's text that pops up on screen that you have to read. Like, there's no way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll be honest. Like, I really checked out of this, but I did enjoy it. Like, it's a good period piece.
Yeah.
It's impressive for 1922, even though I've hardly seen any movies from the 20s. I think it's an accomplishment of its own. Very expensive. I imagine film was very expensive back then.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
props to them. Props to the theater department. There's a lot of like theater play to it, with props, like 2D props. But yeah, you want to plug this in and move on?
Yeah, I'm gonna give this movie a 6.5 out of 10.
I'm gonna give this a 3 out of 5. Or I guess that's a 6 out of 10. Yeah.
So we're about we pretty much got the same opinion on this movie too.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I think the next
All right.
movie we definitely have differing opinions on this one.
Yes. So our final movie, or well, my pick for the 1920s was The Passion of Joan of Arc. This movie is, I watched this a few weeks ago. Watched it very late at night. I don't remember quite a lot, but the cinematography is really something else. Like even for today, it's very impressive. Just the camera work. Christian, what did you like about this movie?
Well, of course, like you said, the camera work is ahead of its time in a lot of ways. I honestly, I think the editing is ahead of its time too. I think there's several quick cuts, especially towards the end, where all-out chaos ensues when she's being burned alive, and you have like the villagers starting to like turn against like the Catholic army. I think it is. I think they're Catholic. I'm not sure.
Yes.
The villagers like attacking them, and then them getting killed, and the all-out chaos that ensues. I think that's just a really well edited and directed sequence. And I don't know, maybe it's because I'm a history buff, but watching it, I really got into the movie storyline wise. Like, I really felt, I mean, I knew it was going to happen. I mean, it's based off history, but I really felt bad for the main character. Just the way they frame it constantly too, is like the camera is always looking down on her,
Yeah.
as and it makes you feel her emotions, which is like she's threatened and being like imposed
And powerless.
upon. Yeah, it really helps you get it. It really helps you empathize with the characters, and the priests are all shot in very dominant ways.
Absolutely. The shot that stuck out to me most was like when they're making the final decision on her trial. There's this beautiful tracking shot where it's just moving left and it's tilting up and down as it's tracking, and you just see all of their faces. And
yeah, that's beautiful.
And then it finally goes on to Joanne. I was just like, damn, this is like that. I mean, that was genius.
Yeah,
just like in that moment.
It was a movie I put on, I guess my last semester of college, and I felt like it was a movie I should watch before I graduated, and I was surprisingly pretty moved by it, to be honest. I just thought it was a really beautiful movie, from all the different ways. Like, just really got into it. And honestly, I teared up. I just thought it was a very, very moving experience, and obviously there are, the limitations of the time period. And yes, it's a silent movie, so sometimes those are hard to get into and stay interested in for an hour and a half. But overall, I just think as a piece of like film history and stuff, I think it's excellent.
You're absolutely on the money there. Yeah. Yeah, no, it is a movie for its time, and it shows. It absolutely shows. Like it's impressive as hell.
I would say from a filmmaking perspective, much better than the other 1920s film we watched.
Yes, you were absolutely correct.
This
It
is like a Kubrick film, and then the 1920s, the Haxan, that felt like a low budget, like slapped together over a weekend type thing.
Yeah. Something I've noticed with these with the two movies we saw is that it's like a hybrid between filming or it's a hybrid between film and theater.
Yeah,
And
you're right.
and this is kind of going off track, but like I watched Hamilton the other day, like 2 or 3 months ago with my roommates.
Yeah,
And it just did not land with me like this did.
yeah,
And I think it has to do with the camera work.
yeah.
Like there's a difference between just filming a play going on versus like having the camera be like a character of its own. Like you're the viewer in this trial the entire time.
Oh yeah, I think
versus
if
Hamilton
you're,
where you're just an audience member.
if you're gonna upload Hamilton to Disney Plus, I think they could have filmed and edited it in a more cinematic way.
Yeah.
It's definitely different when you're seeing it live in a theater, but when you're watching it on your couch on just the TV, I don't know how much you can get into it really.
Exactly.
And so
yeah.
Joan of Arc is like, it is very theatrical, and I think that's a lot of films back then were, because theater was like the main thing back then, and movies were like some brand new thing that people just kind of were like, oh, this is interesting, this is a new thing, let's try this. But theater was still like the main like form of entertainment back then.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it is very, I didn't even really think about that much when I was watching it, but yeah, theatrical is a good word for it. Everything it feels very staged, which is fine. I don't have anything against that, but yeah, like the opening scene in like the court when she's on trial, that feels like a set for a play.
Yeah, and it feels like man, thank you for reminding me of that. Yeah, because like I'm thinking about that scene now too, and it's like you almost feel like you're attacked too, because it's like, it's like why is she on, like why is she being accused? It's like what am I trying to say? It's like she just, she's just put on trial for, like just because they just because they want to. It's like an attack on you almost.
Yeah, it's like you're able to empathize with her because you're dropped into the situation with her. You're on her level. You're like,
yes,
what's going on? And so
yeah,
when you're just as confused as the character, it allows you to empathize better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, you're absolutely right on that.
And I just think universally, when you're accused of something, you want to defend yourself, and no matter what, you always want to like defend yourself from accusations. And when you see that she can't really defend herself from accusations and she's powerless, then that makes you feel bad.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's pretty smart decisions all around.
Very smart. Yeah, very well thought out for 1928. So
a good grasp of like the cinematic language very early in cinema's history.
Yeah, mise en scène is just put on front stage.
Oh, definitely. Yes, they have full control over everything going on in that frame.
Absolutely. I don't really have anything else to add here, Christian. What about you?
No, I'm just gonna say if anything, if anybody is listening to this and you might want to check it out, you're thinking, oh, it's a silent movie, an hour and a half, I don't know. I would just recommend watching the last sequence on YouTube, where the villagers are rebelling and she's being burned alive. That's just an incredible sequence that'll stick with me for a long time.
It was a bit cheesy at the beginning. Like I'll be honest, like it was kind of hard for me to get into that, but as it kept going, I was like damn, this is actually like this is pretty rough. It just keeps going on. It reminds me of the Passion of Christ, where it's like can we get off? Can we cut to something else? Like I don't want to see this.
Yeah, can we turn the camera away? Focus on something more pleasant.
Yeah, more pleasant, please. Yeah.
Well, the actors always take
definitely.
me off guard in silent films because it feels like they're overacting, and it's because they are. It's because they kind of have to, because they were told, well, you can't talk, so you have to express everything, through your facial expressions, and so their facial expressions are all very exaggerated, and everybody's yelling in this movie. You can't hear them yell, but all the priests are yelling very loudly. They're very stressed. They all look like they're about to have a heart attack.
Yeah. The heart attack. Yeah, the eyebrows. A lot of eyebrows really got to work out in this movie.
Yes. Very impressive eyebrow work from all involved.
Yeah. All right, well, let's go ahead and punch this in. I'm going to give this a 3.5 out of 5.
Nice. I'm going to give it, as you're aware of, I have given this film the full 5.
Oh, full 5.
5 out of 5.
We'll throw in some air cannons.
Yeah.
Some air horns.
That's our first 5 out of 5 for this Criterion challenge.
Yeah, for the challenge. Yeah, absolutely.
It's not even one I picked.
Hell yeah. Yeah, that's right. You had actually seen this before.
Yes, and I will tell you right now, there's another 5 out of 5 on our list. You haven't watched it yet, but you're going to. Seven Samurai, of course.
Yep. Next week.
Yeah.
Next week we will be capturing our week 3 is we're watching movies from the 1950s. So Seven Samurai is what I picked, and Christian, you picked The Cranes Are Flying.
Yes. I haven't watched that one yet. You have, but
I loved The Cranes Are Flying. Oh my god, I can't wait to talk about that next week.
I will definitely be watching that ASAP.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. Well, if you would like to follow us on Letterboxd, my Letterboxd is Thomas_Payden. That's Paden. Christian, where can they find you on Letterboxd?
Mine is just simply Christian Nichols. And
Fantastic.
my profile picture is me hanging out with Steven Spielberg.
Nice. And mine is the French soldier from Monty Python.
Oh, even better.
Mm-hmm. I go back and forth with my Letterboxd profile pictures. I think I'm going to keep with that, though.
Yeah, keep that one. That's a good one.
It's a good one. It is a good one.
Once you strike gold, you stay with it.
Yeah. All right, everyone. Well, thank you for tuning in. And we will see you next time.
Absolutely. And if you guys want to see what our list looks like, by all means, also take a look on our Letterboxd. We have our complete list for our Criterion challenge and the movies we will be watching and reviewing here. If you'd like to keep up and watch along with us.
Absolutely, and we will also have those in the. We'll have all that linked down in the description below. I'm assuming we'll put this on YouTube.
Yes.
Yeah. Great. Well, hope everyone has a great rest of their week, and goodbye.
And we'll see you next time, guys.
I squeeze, I squeeze, I squeeze.